What is up, my friends? Good evening to you all. Thank you for joining me. Flicking through the comments before we started, I tell you what, I could get used to being called boss. A couple of people in the chat saying, "Hi, boss." I'm all for it. I don't get called boss by anybody, not even the wife, so there you go. Well, look, let's be honest. I'm not the boss in that relationship, so there's no reason for me to be called a boss, but there we go. Look, lads, I want to get your thoughts on the Michael Edwards situation. Of course, we'll have a little talk about tomorrow's game against Chelsea as well. Levi Colwill could be a doubt for Mauricio Pochettino, so that could weaken them a little bit, which is good news for us because I rate Colwill as a player. We're going to be talking about VAR as well, and the audio from VAR conversations to be released, and a few other bits and pieces. You know the drill by now. It's whatever you guys want to talk about. That's what we're here to do. Just a heads up as well, in about an hour's time we're going to be jumping straight across the top of the league at the end of the live stream here for myself and Ben to take you guys through a watch along of Forest against Arsenal. A big game, of course, for us in the Premier League, so we got to keep an eye on it, right? I'm good, thank you, by the way. Everybody in the chat asking. Yeah, I hope you're having a good day as well. Always a highlight of my day to come onto the lives and chat with you guys. Did the video earlier on, and yes, we talked about Michael Edwards in that video, but we had to do it again this evening because we need you guys to have your say on what you think about the Michael Edwards situation. Obviously, I had my say in the video that went out earlier on, so it's over to you guys now. Craig, how's the fam and how's your day? Thank you, Isa. Fam, all good. My day, I'm quite tired today, to be honest with you, mate, but it's been a busy week, so that's okay. But other than that, I'm good, healthy and well, thank you, and I hope you and your family are in good spirits as well. I'm all for Xabi Alonso as the next Liverpool manager, said Brett Young. I think we all are, mate, or at least a good section of us are all in. Ruben Amorim's name is one that's certainly been spoken about a lot more over the last 24-48 hours. His Sporting Lisbon side had an 8-0 victory recently, but more importantly, his name has been mentioned in the media, and the odds from the bookies of him coming in have been shortened, as was pointed out by somebody in the chat last night. But he's still pretty distant away from Xabi Alonso, who's still the odds-on favourite to be the next Liverpool manager. United fan here, have a good day, bro. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate you, mate. Hope you have a nice day as well. Appreciate you dropping in, my man. I really do. And your support, of course, as well. I want Amorim, said Mo. I've got to be honest, dude. I don't know. I say dude, you could be a dudette. But either way, I don't know much about Ruben Amorim, to be honest with you. I'm definitely late to the party with regards to the hype train for him. What I'm trying to find out as much stuff as I can and watch as many clips as I can about his style of football, stuff like that as well. I just get the feeling it's going to be Alonso. Particularly when you see this story. So let me just get my notes open and then there we go. So piece today coming from Ian Doyle of The Echo, and in that piece he says Tim Steedon, West Ham sporting director, is in the race to become Liverpool's new sporting director. Now, what makes this piece from Mr. Doyle particularly poignant, I guess, is that he was the man who appointed Alonso at Leverkusen. So, look, Ian Doyle isn't saying this. These are the words coming from my mouth because I wouldn't, this is just a thought process of my own. But I can't help but feel if Tim Steedon, or however his name is pronounced, comes into Liverpool as a director of football, could there be a bigger indication that maybe Alonso is about to come next? Because if you're looking for the man who brought Alonso to Leverkusen, then your mind starts thinking, well, you're doing this because there's obviously a working relationship there between the two of them. They obviously get on rather well, or you would imagine so. So maybe I'm putting 2 and 2 together here and coming up with 7, but definitely that's how I felt when I read that piece from Ian Doyle, that if they're weighing up the man who brought in Alonso, maybe Alonso's the guy that they're going after. But then again, I am definitely somebody who's looking for anything to link Alonso to the Liverpool job at this moment in time. I don't know if you guys have seen the stuff from Rafael Benitez as well, talking about his thoughts on the Liverpool manager job. He said, I have an advantage, which is that I have people in Liverpool and lots of people at the club. So more or less, I know how it has happened. I know something else from inside, and it has more merit than being there. Klopp goes and speaks up, giving the club time to reorganise. He goes on to speak about how it's a very German thing, very not unusual in Germany to give advance notice of these type of things. But the line that's going to stand out to us all there is exactly what he said about, I know more or less how it has happened. So I wish he would have given us a bit more information on that, but I don't know if Rafa knows something we don't know. I'm sure he probably does, but I'm not going to speculate as to what that is, but I would have liked him to have given us that information. Joel Morris, thank you for your super chat, my friend, said, would you take Diego Simeone at Liverpool? I feel I've answered this question quite a bit, and insert football terrorism into my comment, because that's what I think when I think of Cholo Simeone football. Great man manager, great motivator, great at getting the crowd on side, but don't like his brand of football, don't like the way his players carry on, and wouldn't want him coming into Liverpool to adopt that style and tactics. So I would say no. But I do think, ironically, as much as I don't want Simeone at Liverpool, I do think there is a world where Jurgen Klopp could take the Atletico job down the line, because of all the clubs in Spain. I feel that's the one that would appeal most to Klopp, based off obviously not knowing him, but his history and jobs that he's chosen. I saw something about VAR changes for next season, said Dania. Oh, don't you worry, Dania, we got you. We got you covered on that one. Right, where is it? Here we go. So, Premier League referees to explain VAR decisions to fans from next season. Football's lawmakers have trialled a system which allows fans to hear VAR decisions over the past 12 months. Anthony Taylor is amongst English officials who have been involved. Official confirmation expected in the coming weeks. Good. That'll do. It's a start. We're heading in the right direction. Now, while we're talking about VAR in a positive sense, of course I've got to throw in a little dig here at the PGMOL. Have you seen the officials for the game against Arsenal at the weekend, my friends? Anthony Taylor's the referee. I've got no issue with that. I think Anthony Taylor's a decent referee. But I do have issue again with who's on VAR. Don't worry. It's not Paul Tierney. It's the next worst one after him. David Coote is on VAR. So we play Chelsea on Wednesday. Tierney's the ref. Then we go to London at the weekend, where, remember, we've been shafted a few times, and they stick David Coote on VAR. So you can rule out a penalty, a red card in our favour, any decision that might be 50-50, all them gonna knock out for us if it goes to VAR. That's my say on it. That's my feeling on it. I don't care what anybody else says, thinks. I don't care if people think I'm being bitter. It is what it is for me, and we have to win things in spite of the officials and not with help from the officials. That's how I feel, and I feel like Howard Webb is taunting us again. I know, I'm deluded, tinfoil hat, all that stuff, I get it. But how is it always there's one of the three? Always Atwell, Coote, or Tierney is somewhere in the set of officials when we have a big game. And it pisses me off massively. Taylor, thank you, bud, for gifting an Anfield Agenda membership. Appreciate that. Hello, Craig. Hello, Shane. I heard Klopp say in an interview that he wants to live a normal life. So does that mean he's taking a break from football and not going to be manager for a different team? Well, what he said, Shane, was no international job, no club job for a year. And look, that would probably involve spending a bit more time with the family, the grandkids, a few holidays with the good lady wife, I would imagine, well-deserved breaks. And yeah, whatever else he needs to recharge his batteries. Like, I don't know if Klopp will hang up his managerial whistle for good. I don't think so. I don't expect him to. If you're asking me for my guess on it, I think it will go something like this. Nagelsmann underwhelms in the Euros with Germany. He gets the boot. They bring in somebody to tread water for a couple of months, maybe sort out a couple of friendlies, all the time knowing that they're going to offer the job to Klopp. And I think Klopp ends up taking the Germany job sometime late this year. That would be my guess on how this pans out. And that's okay. You know, I would feel a lot more comfortable if he broke his 1 year break to take the German national team job. I totally understand that. And also it would, I guess, give him a better quality of life, I would imagine, because club football's hectic day to day, in your face, 100 miles an hour, 2-3 games a week. So maybe the pace of an international management job in his home country, I don't know, you know, without knowing Jurgen as a person, it's all guesswork, but I could see how that would appeal. Taylor, I thank you for that membership. Susie, indie music fan. I think the next manager will be chosen by the data science. Even if I love the idea of Alonso, it will be dependent on stats. I'm not getting my hopes up. Well, we do know that there will be some involvement in the guy that runs the stats at Liverpool. Spearman, is it? William Spearman? Will Spearman, I think his name is. So he will have a part to play in it, yeah, that he will be part of the search. But I think listening to Peter Moore, I don't know if you guys caught I think it was the Echo that had a chat with Peter Moore. He was basically saying, it will be some upheaval, but also there's 800 people working at Liverpool Football Club who know their jobs, know their roles, fulfill those roles, are working away in the background. And he went as far as to say it won't be like the Manchester United situation. There's a better structure at Liverpool. I'm sort of paraphrasing here a bit as well. But honestly, as much as we're all scared a little bit right now, and that is fair, it is uncertainty, I don't feel like we're going to fall off a cliff. Maybe we have, a bedding in period where a new sporting director, manager, has a look around, gets the feet under the table. It might take a while to get things up to full speed, to get the transfers sorted out, these other things. But I do believe what everybody says, what Jurgen says, what Peter Moore says, the structure at the football club, the people that have been put in place, a lot of it is there, and I'm quietly confident. Do I think they get the managerial appointment right? Yeah, I do actually. Weirdly, I do. So for somebody who isn't the biggest FSG fan, I've always told you that I'll be honest in my assessment of every individual situation, and I think they'll get it right. Whether that's Alonso or somebody else, that remains to be seen. But I honestly do believe that we will put the right, I say we, like I'm part of it, people in place to continue on this development. And I actually really enjoyed hearing Klopp today at his press conference talk about the press pushing, asking the questions with looking for, leading answers. And he's right, just chill, calm down a bit at the minute. We're still getting over what's going on with Jurgen, but I do think what he said about Van Dijk made sense. Give the lads a minute to get a breather themselves, process the news. Like we said the other day, I didn't see anything in Virgil's comments that were too worrying. I thought it was a perfectly acceptable, reasonable answer from somebody who is most likely still processing the news themselves. So just give it a minute, let everybody catch a breath, and we'll see how this works out. Obviously, us as fans, we're very emotional. We want answers as quickly as possible. Totally understandable. But yeah, this is why I guess these guys are in the jobs that they're in, and we're sitting here talking about it. Thank you very much, Barry Kelly. Appreciate you, my man. So, weirdly, I'm usually somebody who's pretty, negative on certain things. But I'm choosing and hoping to try and be upbeat about where we are and the situation we're in. There can't be a positive spin put on Jurgen Klopp leaving the football club. That's our worst nightmare. But I do have faith that the systems are in place. The team is definitely in a good place, regardless. And I've said this on the last couple of streams. Whoever comes into this job is getting a really good team in a really good place with high potential. It's been refreshed a good bit as well. Yes, we have some contracts we need to get sorted, and let's see how they pan out. But it's a good job at a good club with good fans and a good team. So whoever gets it's getting a really enviable position, in my opinion. What do you think about the Sporting Lisbon manager? Has proved to be very good. I don't know much about Ruben Amorim, Barry, and I'm trying to find out as much as I can. I won't lie, I don't watch much Portuguese football, but certainly from what I can gather about his relationship with the fans at Sporting and how he carries himself, they seem to be very fond of him. Definitely looks to be one of the next young breed of managers. What is he, 38, 39, something like that? What I do know is that release clause in his contract, if somebody wants to take him from Sporting, you're looking at about £17 million based off stories that were doing the rounds in the last day or two. And look, I'm sure himself, De Zerbi, Alonso, and maybe, I don't know how many managers they'll look over, but I think they'll get it right. I hope they get it right. Nothing in life is certain, but I'm confident. What happened to squad battles and tactical breakdown? Honestly, nobody was watching them. That's the God's honest truth, Magnus. They were an absolute waste of everybody's time, and obviously it wasn't something people were Up four, that's okay. That's what trial and error is, my man. But that's the honest answer. Right, let's talk about Mbappe. Don't worry, don't worry. I'm not going to try and convince you all Mbappe's coming to Liverpool. Yeah. So, Kylian Mbappe decision time frame emerges was the headline on this piece. It says Kylian Mbappe is reportedly expected to make an announcement on his future in the coming couple of weeks. Now, Javier Tebas, the La Liga president, was speaking about the possibility of him coming to Real Madrid, and he said probably 50%-ish. So he's very confident. Apparently the last time when Mbappe changed his mind and stayed at PSG, they'd gotten as far as to talk about his unveiling and, you know, what way the unveiling was going to work and how they were going to make such a big deal of it. And then, of course, Mbappe chose to stay at PSG. Melissa Reddy was speaking on Sky earlier on, and she spoke about two different groups of people around Mbappe. She spoke about his very close inner circle, and how they're being respectful of the situation, of course. But then she spoke about the people who work at the club every day, and they said basically don't rule out PSG throwing another truckload of cash or incentives at him to try and get him to change his mind again to stay at PSG. Actually, if I remember correctly, I think you said the inner circle of Mbappe were saying that he's going to leave PSG, but then people working at PSG said you can never rule out what goes on at PSG. You never know. They could just keep throwing money at the subject. Can we ban all Mbappe talk? It's complete fantasy. I didn't in any way talk about Mbappe to Liverpool there, to be fair. You know, I openly admit that once we got the Klopp news, that was the end of the Mbappe talk for me with regards to Liverpool, mate. So I think that'll probably make you happy. Everton and their points deduction. So Everton's appeal hearing is going to be, for their 10-point deduction, is going to be heard over the next 3 days. The appeal hearing will begin on Wednesday and end on Friday, with the final decision expected to be announced by the middle of February. So Everton should get they should get that announcement about whether they'll get those 10 points back, some of those 10 points back, or whatever else is going to happen. So we should know that in the coming weeks. Roy Hodgson in for one last dance. Who says no? Everybody in the world says no. Everybody. Even Roy Hodgson says no. Did you guys see Joe Cole trying to walk back when he walked himself into a bit of a problem, when he basically admitted he was crocked when he came to Liverpool? Joe, you can talk it back all you want, mate. We don't like you. We don't remember the time here fondly. You're not a good fit for Liverpool. And walking it back now, dude, it ain't going to change that. And we all think you're a bit of a twat, to be honest with you, mate, who just rinsed the club for money. You got your pay. You held out for the very end. Got a nice little payoff, about £1 million reportedly and upwards. So you can walk it back all you want, mate. You're a Chelsea fan. You're a London boy. That's okay. But you said what you said. You meant it. And there's a few other things I've heard about his contract as well that I'm not going to get into in front of camera. But let's just say it wasn't a good fit, him at Liverpool, and nobody's going to look back on it fondly, and no amount of rewriting history is going to change that, Joe. So you just stick to doing what you're doing, which is being a shit pundit. What have we got? Surely we won't be linked with anyone until the sporting director and manager's resolved. Well, no, weirdly, we've been linked with Fulham's centre-back in the last day. And I don't know where to go with this. I don't know where to go with these links to players that have are going to pop up in the media, because as you've rightly said, I don't know who's making these decisions at the minute, who's looking ahead. I don't know. I've got no idea. So I'm certainly not really thinking about transfers too much at the minute, in all honesty. I'm definitely looking a little bit ahead to what happens with the sporting director and the manager. Now, Klopp gave us a bit of a positive update in that Thiago Alcantara has finally trained with the first team after 10 months out, and Jurgen seemed very happy about that, and he said that he trained very well. He looked sharp enough, which is, I guess, some positive news, you know. So nothing on Bajcetic that I'm aware of, but Jurgen was also speaking about Mohamed Salah, said obviously he's still not ready to play, won't be playing on Wednesday, won't be playing in the next game, and it will take, you know, how long it takes, which is again, just a sensible answer from the manager. Daniel said, just need to stay calm and stop this rushing into things. I see Klopp's press conference today and he sounded unhappy about the journalist questioned him. Yeah, but also, Daniel, in all honesty, what the fuck does he expect? You know, I get Klopp's a bit irritated by it, but, you know, this is the modern world, mate. When you make such a big announcement like that, there's going to be a lot of column inches and a lot of clicks and a lot of stories from it. And, you know, you don't get to just make that announcement and think it's all going to go quiet after that, because that's not how things work. Everybody's going to have a lot of questions, and, you know, you got to be prepared for these things, I guess, when you make your announcement. So I don't blame the media for asking the questions. I don't blame all of the fans for being nervous either. So I think Klopp has to kind of roll with the punches a little bit on this one. Rumours are we're going for the West Ham sporting director. Yeah, we spoke about that a little bit earlier on at the start of the stream, mate. The guy who brought in Xabi Alonso has been linked. What's his name again? Tim Steidten. Steidten. Is, yeah, apparently in the race to become the Liverpool sporting director, as is the guy from Bournemouth, apparently. But I should probably get to the title of the stream, right? The news about Michael Edwards. So Fabrizio Romano put out a piece earlier on to say that Liverpool approached Michael Edwards over the weekend with a view to coming in and help to restructure the club, basically offering him a pretty powerful position. And Fabrizio Romano said that he turned that offer down himself, and Ian Graham are working with a new company, Ludonautics, excuse me, I can never get that right, Ludonautics, which is a data company. They've also invested into Bolton Wanderers, so he turned down the opportunity to come back to Liverpool. Now, Fabrizio did say, as of now, I don't know if that intimates maybe Liverpool are going to try and come back to Michael Edwards. I've got no idea. But that's where we're at with Michael Edwards. So take from that whatever you need to. Sporting director is going to be an interesting appointment, says Susie. Yes, it is, Susie. I'm with you. It's not the sexiest of appointments, right? Because a lot of the work sporting directors do, we don't get to see, but it is a big appointment. What's this? So, transfer sector have just posted something, and Connor said to, which made me laugh. They said, this is crazy. There is a scam circulating around Instagram in Thailand that says scammers are pretending to be Xabi Alonso. It messages its victims and reads, hello, I'm Xabi Alonso. Next season I'm going to train Liverpool, but I'm still missing a little money for the plane tickets from accounts pretending to be him, and I guess asking for a few quid. Now, if anybody falls for that, I don't know what to say other than I've got a few things of my own I wouldn't mind selling you. Imagine thinking that the man hasn't got the money for a Ryanair flight across. I think we can sort him out with that. What do you think about Nagelsmann? I believe his contract with the German national team runs out in the summer. It does, Jonathan. Yes, it's only up until the end of the Euros, which is why I said at the start of the stream I can see Klopp eventually going into that job. What do I think about Nagelsmann at Liverpool? I think he's a candidate that should be looked at. Other than that, I don't know what else to say. I'm a little bit concerned over his last few jobs. Some other bits and pieces. But look, he is certainly one of the most well-respected young coaches in the world. So would be very surprised if he wasn't on the list for the owners to run the rule over. That's all I really have to say on Nagelsmann, because I just think it's Alonso at this point. But I would do, because that's the one I want. Alonso for boss. Forget Mbappe. We need 3 good players. The Premier League's become so attritional. Bang up job, Craigie. Thank you, Jurgen Splurgen. What a name, by the way. I love it. Jurgen Splurgen. Oh, there you go. Jurgen Splurgen. Love it. Yeah, I don't know about the... I don't even know how to think about transfers, mate, until we know who the gaffer is, because I don't know what system they'll play. I don't know how they'll view, like, for instance, Conor Bradley. If I'm coming in as Liverpool manager, I don't think we need somebody for that position if Trent moves into midfield, because I like Bradley. But a lot of Liverpool fans are thinking, what about Jeremy Frimpong if Alonso comes in? But I would argue, why spend the money on Frimpong when we've got Bradley there? So I guess until we know who the next gaffer is, it's hard to even think about transfers. And also we need to see how the contract renewals for Mo, for Verge and for Trent go. Again, maybe we have an unpleasant surprise there and we have to look for a bigger role to fill than perhaps we initially thought. Or maybe it doesn't. It would genuinely be hilarious if you were able to get Darren Farley to do full-time impression reactions. I don't know Darren Farley. I've never had a conversation with the man. So yeah, I don't know basically. And look, I love a bit of humour, so I love the idea of throwing in funny impressions and stuff into content. Absolutely, but I've never had the pleasure of talking to Mr. Farley, so I don't know him. Do you stream with a green screen? Oh God, yes. As the amount of content you put out is crazy. Keep up the great work. Yeah, we do stream with a green screen, mate. Basically, I'm in the corner of my living room. There's a green screen that's on the wall. I've got right now in front of me, I've got a Sony DSLR camera. An iMac is my computer that I use. I've got an LED light shining down on me to make sure the green screen's nice and clear. This microphone here, this Shure microphone. And that's pretty much it. It's a pretty straightforward setup, and when I'm not using it, push it all back in against the wall. When I am using it, it goes into the middle of the living room, basically. Well, not the middle, but it goes out into the living room. So, yeah, that's my setup. Someday, I have plans, but I need to make sure I can afford them. I have an office that I'd like to build in the back garden. It's got... This number sounds so disgusting, but it is what it is. It costs about 60 grand if I was to build the office to be fully ready to go. It'd be about 60 grand. So I'm hoping in a year or so, if the business continues to develop and the views continue to come in, I'm hoping to make that investment. But it's a scary thing to talk that big a number, like, because I'm not used to talking numbers that big in my life. So yeah, that's where we are at the minute. It is a bit cramped. I would like a bit more space. I'd like opportunities to talk standing up, for instance, or on a sofa, or I have this weird idea of anger corner where I have an area that I can go over and smash shit when I'm angry, because I feel like that would be very cathartic. But yeah, that's basically it. That's where we are at the minute with regards to the setup anyway. Craig, Ruben Amorim's thoughts. I said it earlier on, I don't know too much about the gentleman. He's he's mentioned, he's popular, he's young, he's by all accounts a good coach. That's all I really know. 4-4 Toons is a funny cartoon. It's brilliant. I love 4-4 Toons. They need more of me in 4-4 Toons, and by more of me I mean just some of me, because that would be cool. But yeah, no, 4-4 Toons is brilliant. It's definitely something that my son loves, and I've said this many times. I'd be a hero to him if I ever made it into one of those cartoons. And I have a 4-4 Toons cameo that somebody got for me, which is pretty cool, which Lucas thought was great. But yeah, no, they're brilliant. I don't know how they're so good at so many of their voices and caricatures or cartoons and stuff. It's a brilliant thing. Oh, one L though, one little L in it. I didn't like You Know Who being in the latest Liverpool managerial search video. I don't know what he was doing in there for a Liverpool video, but either way, it's still a great cartoon. Craig, a very good garden room should be half that price. One thing I am not, my friend, is an idiot. I've priced all this up many times, and the reason it's a little bit more expensive for me is my garden's done on 3 tiers. So to have it where we want it to be at the top of the garden, it's at the top tier. There's a lot of levelling out, digging down. There's a supporting wall behind into a GAA pitch. It's not a straightforward job. And also, the garden room size we'd need just for the structure is about €40,000. So yeah, look, I've looked into it, mate. I come from a family of builders as well, so I kind of have my prices as good as they can be. Now, hopefully, imagine we got a sponsor from one of these companies, or, let's say, I don't know, as an example, Paddy Power came in and we called it the Paddy Power Anfield Agenda offices. And maybe that could help, I don't know, but we're not at that place yet, unfortunately. Hi, mate. Nervous about next couple of games, but I'm just glad I don't have to see that stupid lowercase e on the back of our shirts for a while. Lowercase e. Oh, yeah. You were saying to me that in the Liverpool font, you noticed that everything else was uppercase, but the e was lowercase. I remember now. It's a bit weird, right? But I have to say, over the years, I think the Liverpool fonts have been brilliant. If ever I do buy shirts or buy them for Lucas, I try to get them from the Liverpool store so I can get that font, because it's usually better than the Premier League one. And thank you for your super chat, mate. Sorry I'm late, was busy at work. I'm asking for the update. The update basically is that Michael Edwards turned down the opportunity at the weekend to come back to Liverpool. Let me just read out exactly what Fabrizio wrote, so I'm not mincing my words or putting false words in Fabrizio's mouth. 1 second. Where is it? Here we go. So it says, exclusive. Liverpool have made contact with Michael Edwards over the weekend. FSG's plan was to offer him to be in charge of the restructuring at the club. He said, understand Edwards has rejected Liverpool's proposal as he's not interested even in a more senior role as of today. Now, on top of that, some information that I was reading up on yesterday said, where was it? 1 second. Is that one? Yeah, it's this one. It's from Moby Hake, who I'm sure you all know as well from social media, said, Michael Edwards and Ian Graham's analytics company Ludonautics Limited is now official investors in Bolton Wanderers. Edwards also worked with Bolton at the start of the season to engineer Conor Bradley and Owen Beck's loans. So that's what I've said to you guys before. He did go into business with Dr. Ian Graham on that new Ludonautics. I think it's a data company, if I'm not mistaken. What's this? No, that's gone through. This came in last night as well. It said Liverpool are continuing to keep an eye out for potential new centre-backs ahead of the summer and were impressed by the performance of Fulham's Tosin Adebayo against them in the recent Carabao Cup semi-final. It is mad over the years the amount of players who played well against us and then have gone on to be linked with us or end up being Adam Bogdan. Still won't get over that one, by the way, Rodgers. How? He wasn't even their second choice keeper, I don't think, at the time of Bolton Wanderers. I think he was even their third choice. But we still somehow signed him. Brendan, thanks. As I mentioned earlier on, Anthony Taylor will be the referee this weekend for Liverpool's game against Arsenal with David Koo on VAR, so expect to be shafted there. Jurgen speaking about the press, or speaking at his press conference about the contracts for VVD, Trent and Salah, said, there's enough time to do everything. These players love to be here. Don't forget that. All is fine. Don't worry. The boys love this place. I know that for a fact. So yes, that's kind of where we're at the minute. Thiago back training, which is good news. Don't know when he'll be available. Don't know how long he'll take to get up to speed and when the manager will deem him to be ready to go. But Jurgen seemed genuinely pleased with how Thiago trained and how sharp he looked. Hi Craig, since Jurgen Klopp's departing and everybody is aware, do you think our chances of winning the Premier League, if not everything, is more higher than before the news broke? Thank you for that, Sherky. I don't know, and I've been kind of going back and forth in my own mind about that. I guess I'll put it to you guys. What do you think? Do you think that Jurgen making his announcement will increase or decrease? If it was anybody but Jurgen, honestly, my answer would be decrease. But because of how good a motivator he is and how I don't think he will allow people's focus to be distracted, I think and I hope that we harness the energy, the passion, the emotion, and it becomes a positive. Now, the first real time I think we test this theory is tomorrow. The Norwich game, I don't really count it because we should have won it. It should be straightforward. But tomorrow, Chelsea at Anfield. I think that could give us a good indication because it's a big week ahead. Chelsea tomorrow, then Arsenal at the Emirates on Sunday. So let's see how the fans, the players, and the performance is against Chelsea, and then I think that might give us a better indication. We're going to need everything we can harness to try and go win this league title. So hopefully it is a positive sense. David Newell said the January transfer window has been dead, not just for us, but pretty much all Premier League teams. Yeah, there's a a couple of deals happening today. I think Lyon are in talks to sign Said Benrahma from West Ham. I think there was another. I think the deal for Brentford with that kid from Belgium was looking in trouble. The 25 million they'd agreed there. There was one or two other deals that were getting close to being done, but yeah, look, overall, David, it's been a very quiet and disappointing January transfer window. I don't think we can argue with that one. Also, there was one thing I'd seen, I think it was the Echo, that suggested that Gerrard could come in, and I think maybe Ben Jacobs said this, if I'm remembering correctly. Don't rule out the idea of Gerrard maybe coming back in, and if it's not Ben Jacobs, I apologise, but it's somebody. Gerrard coming back in as part of a backroom team, not the managerial role, but maybe as part of the coaching setup, which I'd be absolutely for. You know, as long as he knew who the gaffer was, I'd be alright with that. You know, never hurts having people who know the club around the club. So, let's say Alonso, Milner, Gerrard. I could get on board with that. I could very much get on board with that. What about Hansi Flick at Liverpool next season? I don't know. Hansi Flick's too boring for me. I'm sorry, I know that's a shitty answer. But he's not a Liverpool manager. He's too beige. And also, I don't know. He's a good coach and all, but he's just doesn't excite me. He's been linked strongly with the Barcelona job. I think maybe even one of the favourites for that role. Did you see Xavi Hernandez, as in Xavi, come out and talk about that the job at Barcelona is almost a poison chalice, not because of the club or because of the players, but because of the media and the pressure and the scrutiny and the reporting and everything that goes along with being Barcelona coach. Even Guardiola was saying that the pressure in that job is infinitely more painful than managing in the Premier League. So yeah, interesting to hear Xavi. I guess if you're going to come out and speak about that, if your name's Xavi Hernandez, you've probably got enough credibility in the bank for everyone to go, oh, if he's saying this, there must be something to it. You know, because he ain't just anybody, nor is Pep. You know, they're Barcelona legends. We'll also get the blame by Leverkusen fans if they lose the league now. I don't give a fuck. I couldn't care less if every last Leverkusen fan is blamed us forever, mate. Honestly, I don't care. Tough titties Turkleton. Sorry. You know, I like Leverkusen as a club. Very fond of them, but I want to look after our own interests, and if that means we anger some others, then it is what it is. With all due respect to Leverkusen. What's your midfield three for tomorrow? Whatever was in my preview. I think I went McAllister, Szoboszlai, Jones, if my memory's correct. Alonso or Postecoglou? Look, I like Postecoglou. I just don't think there's any chance that he leaves the project there at Spurs so early. Yeah, you know, I don't think if this was a year and a half down the line, maybe. But I do like Big Ange. Actually, weirdly, right? I know we call him Big Ange. He's smaller than Guardiola. I was watching the news earlier on, and Ange Postecoglou was talking, and then they cut to a shot of him shaking hands with Pep Guardiola, and I was like, he's smaller than Pep. We're calling him Big Ange, and he's smaller than Guardiola. I was actually, I even turned to the missus and said, look, Big Ange isn't Big Ange. And she said, yes, Craig, but it's the voice and the personality and the tone. He's scary. And I said, yeah, no, you're right. That's probably it. Alonso's the only man. Everybody else comes with a negative. I like Eddie Howe, but for too soon to get to a big club. I don't like Eddie Howe. No, let me rephrase that. That's unfair. I don't rate Eddie Howe that highly. Um, Good, honest football man, no doubt about that. Just, I will just get an awful bang of Brendan Rodgers, and I don't know if I'm deluded with that, but I don't. Not for me. And also, imagine having to put up a Tyndall. Imagine having to look at him on the sideline week after week with the big head in him. Nah, that pass from me. Jota's in the form of his life at the moment. Assassin, I liked his goal against Norwich. Oh, look, he's brilliant at the minute. He has to start for me against Chelsea. Yeah, he's been so good lately, Diogo Jota. Craig, would Spalletti interest you? Style of football at Napoli was wonderful to watch. You know, of all the managers from Italy, Spalletti and Inzaghi are probably the two that I would be the most interested in looking at. There's something about Luciano Spalletti that I like it. I like his character. I like the way he carries himself. Same with Inzaghi, different ways obviously, but I don't know if Spalletti speaks English, firstly, so whoever the manager is going to have to be able to speak fluent English, so I don't know if Spalletti can or can't. I have no idea. Craig, Diaz been so good. I'd push back on that a little bit, David. I think Diaz has had 1.5 good games in a row, which is great, by the way. Sorry, I don't mean to sound like I don't want them to be brilliant. I just still think there's a little bit more consistency across a longer period needed for Diaz. But you're right, he has been playing really well recently. Normally we're talking about players being in a hurts, we have to talk about a manager. I know, Robert, it's like 9 years we haven't had to have this conversation. And we didn't think we were going to have this conversation for another 2.5 years, or at least maybe 2 years. But yeah, it's certainly taken a bit of getting used to, even preparing for a stream, you know. Normally I look for two things when I'm searching. I look for Liverpool team news in and around injuries and, you know, form and stuff like that. And then I look at the transfer side of things and see if there's any news there. But now, every day you're getting up thinking, is there any more news on the managerial race? Going to look at the odds with the bookies. You know, seeing if money's going down in certain areas and all this kind of stuff. It's taken a bit of getting used to. It has, you know, we've been kind of lucky as fans, haven't we, that we haven't had to have this conversation for almost all of my son's life, which makes it even more scary. Like, my son is 12 now, and for, you know, the good chunk of his life, Liverpool have had a stable manager, and that's all I've known is Jurgen Klopp. Team Shark Meg, thank you for your super chat. Said, Craig, do you think Xabi would be considered if he wasn't an ex-player? I love him, but I don't think we look at Xabi if he wasn't an ex-player. I think he'd be looked at, but nowhere near as strongly thought of or pushed for by us. Any young coach at this point in their career in Europe will probably be looked at. But you're right. The sentimentality aspect of it, it's a huge aspect of it, but it's also an important aspect of it for a couple of other reasons. You're going to have fans on side, and coming in after Jurgen is going to be a tricky job for anyone. So if it's somebody that we know gets Liverpool, we know has been here, that helps. It does help, and I'm sure it would help the players as well. So maybe he wouldn't be considered as strongly, but he is because he knows the club. So I guess it's a bit of a moot point, but I guess it's a fair thought process to some extent. But he is, and he is. Alonso can get us Hincapié. Well, to be fair, if we wanted Hincapié, I would have thought we could have got Hincapié regardless of Alonso. At the end of the season, I think Leverkusen would have been open to a deal for some of their players anyway, because that's the way the club operates. But it certainly wouldn't do us any harm if Alonso came in and he was fond of a player or two. But then again, you don't know what agreement he might have with Leverkusen. Klopp never returned to Dortmund for a player. So, I would love a world where Pep stays with the backroom staff. If it doesn't work, we look at Xabi in the year. Bonus if he wins the Bundesliga. It is an interesting one around Pep Linders, all right, because I can understand both sides of this debate. I can understand him wanting to push on to try to establish himself as a number one somewhere. I get that. Also, I get your point about continuity at the club if a new manager came in. But also, a new manager coming in, Jurgen lets Linders do a lot of the sessions based off reporting. So, we don't know how much of a hands-on manager Alonso may be as an example, or if he'll want to take those sessions and lead those sessions. And also, there's a lot of the DNA of how we play that's, from Linders and Klopp together, and the way that they've basically become addicted to counter-pressing, or not addicted to, that's not the right word, but a lot of how we play is based around those ideas of how to work half spaces, counter-press, basically defend from the front. Whereas if you look at Alonso and his style of football, it's a bit more possession-based. As many of you guys have pointed out, a bit more Pep Guardiola-esque, although everyone puts their own twist on these things. The reason I feel a lot more comfortable about Alonso is because of the coaches he's played with, and because, when I read that piece the other day that spoke that he made that decision to go from Real Madrid to Bayern Munich to work with Guardiola because he learned off Ancelotti, he learned off Carlo Ancelotti, Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, and it was a strategic decision because he knew he was already looking ahead to his managerial career. These are things that impress me. These are things that make me think, well, the man has a long-term vision for his own career and, of course, for any job that he has and the way he wants to play. So, yeah, I feel like he's prepared. He's certainly used to being at a big club. He's used to the big occasions, World Cup, European Championships, been there, done it, won league titles everywhere, and said that one of his biggest regrets of his career is that he never got to win a league title with Liverpool. So maybe he can come back and do that as a coach. Wirtz to replace Salah would be fantastic. Yeah, it's a tough conversation to have this already about replacing Salah. I don't even know what to think about transfers at the minute with regards to who's to come in, who we replace. I don't know. It's a weird one because I don't know who's going to be looking ahead. Is the transfer business already underway? I don't know. There's so many questions, right? But that's why these next two appointments are key. Sporting director, manager gives us a good view of what's to come. And also, I think the sooner we get those roles filled, the more we can get back to just focusing on the here and now with Klopp. South Korea just eliminated Saudi Arabia from the Asia Cup. I see they got a really late equaliser as well. Was it 98 minutes or something? So then they've gone on and won that one. So there you go. South Korea have just eliminated Saudi Arabia. So that's a little bit of Asia Cup news. Imagine we got Pep, though, as in the cheating scumbag at Manchester City. No, you're all right, mate. And I say that with a heavy heart, but nobody's going to convince me City haven't been dodgy. Sorry, I'll never, ever, 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 ever forgive that whole scenario. And don't want Guardiola near Liverpool. Thank you very much. Not after he's been City-ified. It's definitely taken the shine off him for me as somebody who loved Pep when he was at Barcelona. As a player and as a coach. But yeah, as I said, nobody ever convinced me they aren't dodgy, and there isn't. Well, nobody needs to convince me. The 115 charges laid against them pretty much tells me all I need to know. What else we got? Has anybody asked Salah who he thinks could replace him? Would you ask him that question? Because I wouldn't. Hey Mo, when you fuck off, who's going to come in and replace you? It's not really a great question to ask him, is it? How about, Mo, any chance of you staying, bro? What's the situation there? I mean, Be some journalist that asked that question, I can tell you that one. I don't think he'd be getting to ask many more questions of Mo if he asked that. Tekefusu Kubo is the perfect Mohamed Salah replacement to Coach Bill. Look, I like Kubo. Real Madrid do have that buy-on clause of 50% and first refusal, I think, as well. So you'll have to see what happens there. But I would imagine if they're looking to bring in Mbappe and they got Vini Jr. and Rodrigo, and yeah, they probably don't have space for Kubo. So good player though, exciting player. Is he enough? Is he good enough over the longer term? I don't know. It's hard to know because look, we brought in Mohamed Salah and he showed, it wasn't very clear when he was coming in how good he was going to be. I knew him as this foil or number 2 to Edin Dzeko when he was playing at Roma, goals and assists there, and they had a great partnership, but never did I think when we signed Mohamed Salah we were going to see the output and the numbers that Mo has put up over his time here. So it's going to be tough to know what to expect from the next one because Liverpool have a great knack of buying good players and turning them into superstars. Sky Germany just reported Alonso was supposed to become Bayern sporting director 2 years ago. As I keep saying, there's lots of sliding door moments in sport, isn't there? I don't know what way the world could have been if that happened, but he went to manage Sociedad B, then he went and took the Leverkusen job, and now he's been linked with our job. So it's mad how quickly the football world works. Jamaica's in the house. Javan, how are we, mate? Welcome in. I wouldn't join a club as a coach that just wanted me as a sporting director initially. Maybe they wanted him as a sporting director to ease him into the job. I don't know. But look, it didn't work out. It didn't happen, and he is at Leverkusen. Simone Inzaghi is... he too of table seem a good manager. Inzaghi's name has been mentioned about a little bit, mate. As I said earlier on, of the Italian group of coaches, or ones plying their trade over there, I think himself and Spalletti would be certainly two that I would be more comfortable with over the likes of Allegri and Conte, as an example. Do I have a sponsorship with Adidas? I wish. No, these are all bought and paid for, my man. I have a fascination with Adidas, but no deal. I wish I had. God, saved me a fortune over the years, but no, just a lifelong addiction is probably the word to Adidas shopping. Always, if you looked at my wardrobe, there's a couple of Nike things in there, but most of what I own is Adidas. Agenda. I have a name, Stephen. It's Craig. You don't have to call me Agenda. You can just call me Craig. Who will be the Liverpool manager? If you're asking me, honestly, I think it's Alonso. I think it will be. I think it's the right choice. I think it's the most obvious. And I think it's what will happen. But you never know in football. Let's see what FSG and the data crunchers come up with. It is weird though, by the way, because a lot of people do refer to me when I'm out and about if I see somebody as Anfield Agenda. I'm sound with that. That's no issue, but I do have a name as well. But call me whatever you want. I've been called a lot worse. Can you say hello to my brother, Sam? Sam, how are we, mate? Thank you for watching. Appreciate your support. Hope you continue to enjoy the content. And don't forget to share it, hit the subscribe button. By the way, on that, folks, we're like 150 or less away from 240k. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Is Boss Agenda or Craig? Boss works. We can get on board with Boss. That makes me feel very powerful in a way that I really shouldn't feel because I've no power whatsoever. But we can get on board with Boss. Yeah. Sabrina! Everyone's going to call me Boss from now on. But you can carry on calling me Business Class Craig. Uh-oh, she's in her Angry Hulk pyjamas. Sabrina has these pyjamas that are... What are they again? They're the Grinch pyjamas. But they look like she's in an NFL uniform and she's got
small.
shoulder pads. She looks like a little kind of Poundland version or a Temu version of the Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Cut. Didn't say it. I did not say it.
Incredible ginger bitch. That's
I didn't say it.
Want to say? Be honest. The incredible ginger bitch.
That's twice now you've swore. Do you want to just go and press the yellow non-monetized button there? Demonetization.
I could have been talking about a female dog.
You weren't talking about a female dog though, were you? You were talking about...
I don't know, I have quite a bite.
A ginger mutant.
Goodbye.
But I love you. Aren't I going on top of the league? Yeah, in 6 minutes. Don't worry, plenty of time. We'll be over on top of the league at 7:15 for the watch along over there. We couldn't let a stream go by without saying hello to the world's angriest little ginger. I know you think there's an angry ginger out there in content land, but he hasn't met my angry ginger. It's a lot more scary. She. Whoopsies. Oh, I'm digging this hole, haven't I? No need to get a JCB to dig this hole. I'm doing it myself. Is there a number that rules out Alonso? I don't know what you mean by is there a number. Don't know what that means. Look, I just think it's going to be Alonso, really. At the end of the day, I do. Why would you rather see would you rather see Xabi bring in new players if he's appointed, or contract their current ones? I'll keep the ones that are here, definitely. You know, the players that are at the club right now, I think any manager would be lucky to work with them. So you'd certainly look at the group that's here, and then any manager coming in will have one or two positions, or depending on the system. You know, the players that are here have been brought in for the system we play and the way Klopp and Linders look at the world. So maybe another manager with a different system. For instance, if we were to play three at the back, maybe we need a couple more centre backs rather than just one. If we go in midfield, or if we start playing with wing backs, maybe you need to look at a player or two there. So it depends on the systems. If we beat Chelsea and Arsenal, would you consider us favourite for the title? Yes, I would go that far, Carl. Yeah, if we finish this week with 6 points out of 6, yeah, I'm gonna say in my mind we'd be favourites for the title, but not. I wouldn't be planning the coronation just yet. When did Edwards leave us? God, a year and a bit ago? I mean, Julian Ward wasn't in here for that long. He then moved on. I want to say it was just over a year and a bit ago, but my memory ain't what it used to be. Craig, please answer. You need to sell one player in Liverpool. Who do you sell? I think I've said this the other day when somebody asked me to sell two players at Liverpool. Costas is probably the one. I think I don't ever see Costas as being the successor to Andy Robertson, so that's why I would say Costas is my answer. Not because I don't think Costas is a good player to have around, or I have nothing against them, but I don't ever see him stepping up to be Andy Robertson's replacement. So for that reason, it would probably be him. Will that outside office come with a bed? It's going to have to, isn't it? It's going to have to at this point. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go across the top of the league now for the watch along over there of the game between Forest and Arsenal. So if you want to join us, you know what to do. Get yourselves into the description, click on top of the league, or get yourselves over and just search top of the league. Myself and Ben will be live over there in a couple of minutes, so hope to see you there. Head straight over, we'll take you right through till the end of that game as well. And thank you everyone joined me today. Appreciate your support as always. Tomorrow, of course, we'll be here for the watch along of Liverpool and Chelsea with a full post-match show and stuff afterwards. Until then, thank you for your time, have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Much love.